The year was 2137 and humans had spread across the solar system. Spaceships went as far as the edges of the solar system looking for materials to mine. Captain Eric Foster stood on the bridge of his ship named Endurance. His ship belonged to the International Space Alliance, a group formed by all Earth nations to explore space together. Eric was tall with short brown hair that was starting to turn gray. His blue eyes looked tired after the long journey to the outer planets. "Captain, I'm picking up a strange signal," said Jane Wells, the communications officer. She was young with red hair and freckles. Her fingers moved quickly over the screen as she tried to make the signal clearer. Eric walked over to her station. "What kind of signal? Is it one of our mining teams?" Jane shook her head. "No, sir. It's not matching any known human patterns. It's coming from near Neptune." Eric looked at the main screen showing the blue planet Neptune in the distance. "Change course." "Let's check it out." The Endurance turned toward the signal. As they got closer, they saw something that made everyone on the bridge go quiet. A ship like none they had ever seen before floated in space. It was smooth and silver with no visible engines or windows. It seemed to glow slightly in the darkness of space. "Are they sending any messages?" Eric asked. Jane listened to her headset. "Yes, sir, but I can't understand it. It's not in any Earth language." "Send standard greeting package on all channels," Eric ordered. The greeting package was a series of images and math problems that humans had created to talk to any aliens they might meet. The strange ship suddenly lit up with soft blue lights. It began to move slowly toward the Endurance. "They're responding," Jane said, with excitement in her voice. Eric felt his heart beat faster. This was the moment humans had waited for since they first looked up at the stars. First contact with aliens. Lieutenant Alicia Martinez watched from her weapons station. She was newer to the crew and more nervous than the others. Her dark eyes kept looking at the energy readings coming from the alien ship. "Captain, I'm detecting an energy buildup in the alien vessel," she reported. "What kind of energy?" Eric asked. "Unknown, sir, but it's growing stronger," Alicia said. Her hands hovered over her controls. Jane called out, "I think they're trying to establish some kind of communication link." The signal is getting stronger. The alien ship continued to approach slowly. The blue glow around it grew brighter. "Sir, the energy levels are spiking," Alicia said with alarm in her voice. "It might be a weapon charging," Eric hesitated. "Hold position." "Let's not jump to..." Before he could finish, Alicia fired a warning shot. A small missile streaked past the alien ship, not hitting it but passing close enough to show they were armed. "Martinez." "I did not give the order to fire." Eric shouted. The alien ship immediately stopped. The blue glow changed to red. Then it quickly turned and moved away at incredible speed. "What have you done?" Eric asked, his voice quiet but angry. Alicia looked down. "I'm sorry, sir. I thought they were about to attack." Eric called to Jane. "Are they sending any messages now?" Jane listened carefully. "Yes, sir. Something came through just as they left. I'll need time to figure out what it means." 2 days later, the Endurance returned to Earth. Eric had to explain what happened to Admiral Peter Campbell, a stern man with gray hair and many years of service. They met in a large room with screens showing the encounter. "You're telling me one of your officers fired on an alien ship without orders?" Admiral Campbell asked. "Yes, sir." Lieutenant Martinez thought they were charging weapons. It appears she was wrong. "The aliens were trying to establish communication," Eric explained. "Admiral." Campbell shook his head. "This could be very bad, Captain. Very bad indeed. We have no idea who these beings are or what they're capable of." "I know, sir. I take full responsibility," Eric said. "You'll need to work with Dr. Olivia Daniels at the Luna Communication Center. She's our best expert on possible alien languages." Admiral Campbell said. Dr. Olivia Daniels was a short woman with curly black hair and glasses. She had spent her life studying how aliens might communicate. When Eric arrived at the moon base, she was already looking at the signal from the alien ship. "Have you made any progress?" Eric asked. Olivia nodded. "Some. It's complex, but has patterns similar to math. I think it's a language based on energy states rather than sounds. Eric looked at the strange symbols on her screen. Can you translate what they sent as they left? I'm working on it, Olivia said. It's short, which helps. For 3 weeks. Olivia worked day and night. Eric visited often, feeling responsible for what had happened. Finally, Olivia called him and Admiral Campbell for an urgent meeting. I figured it out, she said. Her face was serious. The message is very simple. What? Does it say? Admiral Campbell asked. Olivia looked at both men. It says, first and only warning received. The room went silent. Eric felt cold fear in his stomach. What does that mean? He asked. I think, Olivia said slowly, it means they interpreted our shot as a warning to them. And they're acknowledging it. That doesn't sound too bad, Eric said with hope in his voice. Olivia shook her head. In most communication theories, when someone says first and only warning, it means there won't be a second warning. Next time there will be action, Admiral Campbell stood up. We need to inform world leaders immediately. If these aliens decide to return, we need to be ready. As they left the room, Eric looked back at the translated message on the screen. 4 simple words that might change the future of humanity. First and only warning received. He wondered what would happen next. And if humans had just made the biggest mistake in their history. 6 months passed since the encounter with the alien ship. Life on Earth and across the human colonies in space seemed to return to normal. Most government leaders stopped worrying about the alien message. They had more pressing matters like food shortages in the Mars colony and labor disputes on the mining stations. The alien encounter became just another news story that people talked about less and less each day. Admiral Peter Campbell was not so quick to forget. He sat in his office at International Space Alliance headquarters in Geneva looking at reports. His gray hair seemed whiter now, and new lines had formed around his eyes from lack of sleep. He still thought about those 4 words every day. First and only warning received. A knock came at his door, and Dr. Olivia Daniels walked in with a tablet in her hand. She looked tired too, with dark circles under her eyes. Any news? Campbell asked. Olivia shook her head. Nothing direct. But I've been studying the language patterns from their message more deeply. I think there's more to it than we first thought. Campbell waved her to a chair. Tell me. The structure suggests they communicate on multiple levels at once. The words we translated were just the surface. There are energy patterns embedded in the signal that might contain more information. Campbell frowned. Can you decode these? Patterns? Not yet, I need more data. But I've put together a small team to help me try. Far away on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, Lieutenant Commander Kyle Harrison noticed something strange. He was in charge of the monitoring station that kept track of ships and signals throughout the outer solar system. Kyle was younger than most station commanders, with short black hair and serious brown eyes. He had earned his position by being very good at spotting patterns that others missed. Susan, come look at this, he called to his assistant. Susan Kim walked over to his screen. She was a data analyst with long black hair, usually tied back in a neat ponytail. What am I looking at? She asked. Kyle pointed to a series of charts. These show communication disruptions across our stations for the past 3 months. See anything unusual? Susan studied the charts. They seem random. That's what everyone thinks. But look what happens when I arrange them by time and location. Kyle tapped his screen and the data points rearranged. Susan's eyes widened. They form a pattern, like something is moving through our system testing our networks? Kyle nodded. Exactly. And it started 6 months ago, right after that alien encounter. Kyle sent his findings to ESA headquarters but received little response. Most officials thought he was seeing patterns where none existed. Only Dr. Daniels replied with interest, asking for more data. Over the next weeks, more strange events happened. A supply ship near Saturn reported that its navigation system failed for exactly 10 minutes before coming back online by itself. A weather station on Mars went silent for 7 hours, then resumed working with no explanation. The colony on Callisto experienced strange readings in their atmosphere. Sensors for 3 days. Kyle collected all these reports. He started mapping them on a large display in his private quarters. Susan helped him when she could. It's like they're testing us, Kyle said one evening as they added another incident to the map, probing our systems to see how they work and how we respond. Who is they? Susan asked. The Varax? That's what Dr. Daniels thinks they're called based on fragments in their message. Kyle sent his updated findings to Dr. Daniels. This time, she called him directly on a secure channel. Your work is impressive, she said. Her face on the screen looked serious. I think you're right. These aren't random failures. They match patterns embedded in the message we received. What does it mean? Kyle asked. I believe they're mapping our technology, learning our capabilities. The message wasn't just a warning. It was a notification that we're under observation. Kyle felt cold despite the station's heating system. Why would they do that? Because we fired on them. We're being evaluated as a potential threat. Back on Earth, Admiral Campbell called an emergency meeting with top officials after reviewing Kyle and Olivia's findings. Many still doubted the connection between the strange events and the aliens. The head of security, a tall man named George Wilson, was particularly skeptical. We have no proof these system failures are connected to aliens, Wilson argued. Technical glitches happen all the time in space. Not in this pattern, Campbell said, and not with this timing. So what are you suggesting? Asked Maria Lopez, the civilian administrator for space affairs. That we're under some kind of attack? Olivia spoke up. Not an attack, an assessment. The Varax are learning about us. About our technology and how we respond to problems? The Varax? Wilson asked with raised eyebrows. That's what we believe they call themselves, based on the message. Olivia explained. The meeting ended with little agreement. Most officials wanted more proof before taking action. Campbell and Olivia left feeling frustrated. They won't believe? U.S. until the aliens are landing on the White House lawn, Campbell said as they walked through the hallway. By then it might be too late, Olivia replied. That night, Olivia worked late in her lab at the Luna Communication Center. She connected with Kyle on Europa to share new findings. They had started working together closely despite being separated by millions of miles. I found something new in the message, Olivia told Kyle. A deeper pattern that suggests they're not just observing us, they're categorizing us. Categorizing how? Kyle asked, as a threat level. I think the shot fired by the Endurance moved us into a new category in their system. Something like potentially dangerous species requiring further assessment. Kyle looked at his map of incidents. So all these tests are to determine how dangerous we actually are? Yes, and I think they're almost done gathering data. What happens then? Kyle asked. Olivia's face was grim on the screen. Then they make a decision about us. And I don't think we'll like their options if they decide we're too dangerous. As if to confirm her words, all communication systems throughout the solar system briefly flickered at exactly the same moment. Just for 1 second, every human-made device that sent or received signals paused. Then everything returned to normal. Kyle and Olivia stared at each other through their video connection. They just showed their hand, Kyle said quietly. Yes, Olivia agreed. They wanted us to know they can control our technology if they choose to. What do we do now? We prepare, Olivia said, because I think they're ready to make contact again. 1 year after the first contact with the alien ship, a new visitor arrived without warning. Earth's defense systems did not detect it until it was already in orbit. The advanced warning systems that should have sounded alarms stayed silent. The ship simply appeared above Earth one morning as if it had always been there. The ship was smaller than the first one, but had the same silver color and smooth design. It floated silently above New York City. Millions of people looked up and pointed. Traffic stopped, schools closed. The whole world watched through live video feeds as the ship hovered without making any threatening moves. Admiral Peter Campbell was called to an emergency meeting at the United Nations building in New York. World leaders gathered in the large meeting room with screens showing the alien ship. Everyone spoke at once with fear and confusion in their voices. How did it get past our detection systems? Asked the U.S. president. What do they want? Asked another leader. Should we attempt to communicate or prepare our defenses? Asked a third. Before Admiral Campbell could answer any questions, a staff member rushed into the room. Something is happening, she said. The ship has released some kind of pod. It's descending toward the UN building. Security teams rushed to the roof where the pod was expected to land. Soldiers with weapons formed a circle. Admiral Campbell and Dr. Olivia Daniels went to the roof too, against the advice of security. The pod was small and round. It landed softly on the roof without making a sound. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the top of the pod opened like a flower. Inside was a human woman with short blonde hair wearing a simple gray suit. She stepped out and smiled at the surprised humans. "Hello," she said in perfect English. "My name is Nancy Green. I am here to speak with your leaders." The security team kept their weapons pointed at her. Admiral Campbell stepped forward. "You appear human," he said. Nancy nodded. "This form was created to make communication easier for you." "I am not human. I am a liaison constructed by the Verax Collective specifically for interacting with Earth." Dr. Daniels moved closer. "You speak our language." "I speak all your languages," Nancy replied. "The Verax have been studying Earth for a very long time." They took Nancy to the meeting room where the world leaders waited. She walked calmly, looking around with interest but not surprise. When she entered the room, everyone fell silent. "Thank you for receiving me," Nancy said. "I represent the Verax Collective, a cooperative of species that has existed for over 50,000 of your years. We have been observing Earth since your earliest civilizations began." The room remained quiet as everyone tried to understand what she was saying. Finally, the Secretary General of the UN spoke. "Why have you chosen to reveal yourselves now?" "Because of the incident that happened 1 year ago," Nancy explained. "When your ship fired upon our research vessel, it triggered certain protocols. Earth has been categorized as a potentially hostile emerging civilization," Admiral Campbell spoke up. "That was a misunderstanding. The officer believed your ship was charging weapons." Nancy looked at him with a calm expression. "We understand. But the protocol exists for a reason. The Verax currently monitor 17 Level 2 civilizations across this region of space. Earth is the only one that has fired upon a Verax vessel." "What does Level 2 mean?" asked Dr. Daniels. "Species that have achieved space travel within their own solar system but have not yet developed faster-than-light technology," Nancy explained. "You are very young compared to most species we monitor." The U.S. President leaned forward. "What do you want from us?" Nancy's face became more serious. "I am here to deliver a message from the Verax High Council." She paused and looked around the room. "Stop attacking or we stop pretending to be polite?" Murmurs spread through the room. The Secretary General raised his hand for quiet. "Is that a threat?" he asked. "It is a statement of fact," Nancy replied. "The Verax believe in non-interference with developing species. We have been politely keeping our distance and allowing your natural development, but your actions have caused concern." "What does stop pretending to be polite mean exactly?" Admiral Campbell asked. Nancy smiled slightly. "It means the Verax have been carefully avoiding interfering in your affairs. We can just as carefully stop avoiding that." Dr. Daniels understood first. "You're saying you've been holding back? That you could have taken control of our systems at any time?" "Yes," Nancy said simply. "The tests conducted over the past year confirmed what we already knew. Your technology is very basic from our perspective." The room grew tense. Some leaders whispered to each other. Others looked angry. The Chinese leader spoke next. "What would you do if we refused to cooperate?" Nancy's expression didn't change. "That would be unfortunate. The Verax are not conquerors. We have no interest in your resources or territory, but we do maintain order in this sector of space. Species that present ongoing threats are subject to containment protocols." "Containment?" someone asked. "Various measures to ensure a hostile species cannot spread?" "Beyond their home system," Nancy explained. "Some are quite restrictive." Admiral Campbell tried to keep his voice calm. What do you want from us specifically? A commitment to peaceful contact, Nancy said. A formal agreement that Earth will not attack Varax vessels or representatives. In return, we offer limited cultural and scientific exchange. Limited? Dr. Daniels asked. Appropriate for your current development level? Nancy clarified. We do not share technologies that species are not ready to manage responsibly. The meeting continued for hours. Nancy answered questions with patience but revealed little about Varax technology or their homeworld. She explained that she would remain on Earth for 1 month as an ambassador. During that time, world leaders would need to consider the offer and prepare a response. As the meeting ended, Dr. Daniels approached Nancy. You said you've been watching us for a long time. How long exactly? Nancy looked at Olivia with kind eyes. Since your species first began using tools. We have research stations throughout your solar system disguised as natural objects. Some of your asteroids have been observing Earth for thousands of years. Olivia felt a chill. So everything we've done you've been watching? Not everything. Nancy said, we respect privacy. But yes, we have observed your major developments and conflicts. And you never intervened? Even during our world wars? Nancy's face showed the first hint of emotion, something like sadness. Non-interference is our highest principle when dealing with developing species. You must find your own path. Make your own mistakes and learn from them. But now you're interfering, Olivia pointed out. Only because you reached out to us first with a warning shot, Nancy replied. The choice to change our relationship was made by humans, not by the Varax. As Nancy was escorted to her quarters in the UN building, Admiral Campbell spoke quietly with Olivia. Do you believe her? That they could control our technology if they wanted to? Olivia nodded. Remember the system-wide communication glitch? And how their ship wasn't detected by any of our systems? Yes, I believe her completely. Campbell looked out the window at the alien ship still hovering silently above the city. Then we have a big decision to make. The news about Nancy Green and her message spread quickly around the world. People reacted in different ways. Some were excited about contact with aliens and the promise of new knowledge. Others felt afraid and angry about being threatened. Groups formed in cities across the globe. Some carried signs welcoming the Varax, while others demanded that Earth fight for its freedom. World leaders met daily to discuss what to do. They argued for hours but could not agree. Some wanted to accept the Varax offer right away. Others worried that the aliens would take control of Earth. A few leaders even suggested trying to capture Nancy Green to learn more about Varax technology. General Frank Morris was the head of Earth's combined military forces. He was a tall man with a hard face and cold eyes. He did not trust the aliens at all. While the politicians talked, General Morris made his own plans. In a secret base on the far side of the moon, he gathered a team of loyal soldiers and scientists. We cannot trust these aliens, he told his team. They say they come in peace, but they threaten us at the same time. We must be ready to defend ourselves. His chief scientist, Dr. Alan Cooper, looked nervous. But sir, you saw what they can do? They can control our systems. Only because we let them, General Morris said. We've been developing new weapons that don't connect to our main networks. They won't be able to shut these down. The general showed his team plans for a new weapon platform hidden in a crater on the moon. It could launch special missiles at the Varax ship the next time it appeared in Earth orbit. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Commander Kyle Harrison arrived on Earth from his post on Europa. Admiral Campbell had called him back to help understand the Varax. Kyle met with Dr. Olivia Daniels at the Lunar Communication Center. They had worked together for months, but had never met in person until now. What do you think of Nancy Green? Kyle asked. Olivia looked thoughtful. She seems honest. But it's hard to know for sure since she's not actually human. She's some kind of construct made to look like us. Do you believe their threat? Kyle asked. I don't think it's a threat exactly, more like a statement of fact. They've been holding back, and they can stop holding back if they choose to? Kyle nodded. I've analyzed all the system failures and tests from the past year. The Varax could have taken control of everything if they wanted to. They were just showing us what they can do. Admiral Campbell joined them later that day. He looked worried. General Morris is planning something. He's moved troops and equipment to the far side of the moon without proper authorization. What's he planning? Olivia asked. I don't know exactly, but I don't like it. We need to be very careful with the Varax. If we make the wrong move, it could be bad for all humans. Nancy Green continued her meetings with world leaders. She answered questions and explained more about the Varax. She said they were an ancient species that had evolved as prey, not predators. Because of this, they developed powerful defensive abilities and built their entire civilization around the idea of non-aggression and cooperation. The Varax do not conquer, she explained. We contain threats until they are no longer threats. How many species have you had to contain? Someone asked. 3 in the last 10,000 years, Nancy answered. It is rare that a species chooses conflict over cooperation. What happened to those 3 species? Another leader asked. Nancy paused before answering. They live in peace now, within limits set by the collective. 2 weeks into Nancy's visit, the Varax ship left Earth orbit. Nancy explained that it would return in 1 week for her scheduled departure. This was the moment General Morris had been waiting for. The ship is gone, he told his team on the moon base. Now we can finish our preparations without them watching. Dr. Cooper still looked worried. Sir, I must again express my concerns. If the Varax can do what they claim, this attack will only anger them. They're bluffing, General Morris said. All bullies bluff. We need to show strength, not weakness. On Earth, Kyle noticed unusual activity from the moon base. He reported it to Admiral Campbell right away. There's a lot of power being used at Darkside Base, Kyle said. And I detected what might be missile testing. Admiral Campbell's face went pale. Morris wouldn't be that stupid, would he? The Admiral tried to contact General Morris, but was told the General was unavailable. He then went to the UN Secretary General with his concerns. We need to stop whatever Morris is planning, Campbell said. If he attacks the Varax ship when it returns, it could ruin everything. The Secretary General agreed to call an emergency meeting, but before they could act, news came that the Varax ship had returned early. It appeared in orbit exactly where it had been before. At the moon base, alarms sounded. The alien ship is back, a soldier reported to General Morris. It's sooner than we expected. Perfect, Morris said with a cold smile. Our weapons are ready. Begin targeting sequence. On the targeting screen, the Varax ship appeared as a bright dot. Morris watched as his new missiles locked onto the target. Fire, he ordered. 3 missiles shot from the hidden base toward the Varax ship. Everyone watched the screens as the missiles approached their target. But then something strange happened. The missiles passed right through the ship as if it wasn't really there. What happened? Morris demanded. Did they miss? No, sir, Dr. Cooper said in a shocked voice. They hit the target exactly, but it's like the ship isn't solid. At the United Nations, Nancy Green arrived for her scheduled meeting with world leaders. She showed no sign that anything unusual had happened. The meeting began normally with discussions about cultural exchange. Then suddenly, all technology on Earth stopped working. Lights went out, computers shut down, phones died. Even simple battery-powered devices failed. The world went silent for exactly 3 minutes. Then, just as suddenly, everything turned back on again. Nancy continued speaking as if nothing had happened. As I was saying, the Varax are particularly interested in Earth music. We find your creative expressions fascinating. The room was silent. Everyone understood what had just happened. The Varax had demonstrated their power without hurting anyone. It was a clear message. Resistance would be pointless. Admiral Campbell looked at Dr. Daniels and Kyle. They all realized the same thing. The choice was now very simple. Earth could join the galactic community on the Varax terms or face consequences none of them wanted to imagine. After the 3 minutes when all technology stopped working, the world changed. No one could deny the power of the Varax anymore. Videos of the global shutdown spread quickly once systems came back online. People who had been against the aliens now spoke in favor of peace. No one wanted to see what would happen if the Varax stopped being polite for longer than 3 minutes. General Morris was brought back from the moon base in handcuffs. The world leaders agreed that his actions had put Earth in danger. He would face trial for going against orders. As guards led him away, he still believed he had done the right thing. "They'll take over eventually," he shouted. "You're all just making it easier for them." Admiral Campbell shook his head as Morris was taken away. He never understood. This isn't about fighting or surrendering. It's about joining something bigger than ourselves. The United Nations called for a global vote. For the first time in history, every person on Earth over the age of 16 would have a say in the same decision. The question was simple: should Earth accept the Varax offer of peaceful contact and limited exchange? While the vote was being organized, Dr. Olivia Daniels made an important discovery about the Varax language. She had been studying it for over a year and finally understood something important. Their entire language is built around defense, not attack, she explained to Admiral Campbell and Kyle Harrison. There are dozens of words for different types of protection, but almost none for conquest or invasion. What does that tell us? Kyle asked. It means their society truly is built on non-aggression, Olivia said. They evolved as prey species, always defending against predators. When they became the dominant species, they kept those values. Their greatest fear isn't losing power, it's having to use it against others. Admiral Campbell thought about this. So when they say they'll stop being polite, they mean they'll use their power to contain us, but they don't want to. Exactly, Olivia nodded. It would go against everything they believe in. They would only do it if they felt truly threatened. This information was shared with the public before the vote. People began to understand that the Varax weren't conquerors, looking for new territory. They were more like cautious neighbors worried about a new family that had moved in and started firing guns in the backyard. The day before the global vote, Nancy Green asked to speak with Dr. Daniels privately. They met in a garden at the United Nations building. It was a quiet place with trees and flowers from around the world. "You've learned much about us in a short time," Nancy said. "Your understanding of our language is impressive." "Thank you," Olivia said, "but I still have many questions, I know. That's why I wanted to speak with you." Nancy looked up at the blue sky. "Tomorrow your world will make a choice. I want you to understand what that choice really means." "What does it mean?" Olivia asked. "If Earth votes yes, you won't just be agreeing not to attack us. You'll be taking the first step toward joining a community of 17 other developing species, all learning from each other with the Varax as guides. And if we vote no?" Nancy's face showed sadness. "Then we will have to ensure Earth cannot threaten others as you develop further. We would place restrictions on your technology and expansion. You would still develop, but within limits." Olivia thought about this. Like putting a fence around a dangerous dog? A crude comparison, but not entirely wrong, Nancy admitted. Though we would hope it would be temporary. Many species resist at first, but come to understand over time. The next day, people around the world voted. They used computers, phones, and paper ballots. Never before had so many humans made a decision together. The counting took hours, but finally, the result was announced. 76% had voted to accept the Varax offer. World leaders gathered once more to meet with Nancy Green. The Secretary General spoke for Earth. "We accept your offer of peaceful contact and limited exchange. Earth commits to non-aggression toward the Varax and any other species we may encounter," Nancy smiled. For the first time, she looked truly pleased. "The Varax Collective welcomes Earth's decision. This is a historic moment for both our peoples." "What happens next?" Admiral Campbell asked. "We will establish a small Varax presence on your moon to facilitate exchange. And we would like to invite 2 human representatives to visit a Varax station at the edge of your solar system. Who would go?" someone asked. Nancy looked at Dr. Olivia Daniels and Kyle Harrison. "We believe these 2 would be excellent first ambassadors. They have shown understanding and open minds. Olivia and Kyle looked at each other in surprise. This was not what they had expected. "There is something else you should know," Nancy said. Her voice became more serious. "The situation you faced was a test. One that all species face when they reach your level of development." "A test?" the Secretary General asked. "Yes, the Varax needed to know if humans could overcome their instinct for violence when confronted with a superior power. Some species cannot. They choose conflict even when it means certain defeat." "And we passed?" Admiral Campbell asked. "Yes, despite General Morris and others like him, your species chose cooperation." "That speaks well of your potential." The meeting continued with discussions about the details of the exchange program. When it was over, Kyle approached Nancy with a question that had been bothering him. What would have happened if Earth had voted? "No? What does it really mean when you say you would stop being polite?" Nancy looked at him with calm eyes. "We would have remained polite, Lieutenant Commander Harrison. Just at a much greater distance." 3 months later, Olivia Daniels and Kyle Harrison boarded a small Varax ship at the new lunar base. They were the first humans to leave the solar system. As the ship accelerated to speeds they had never imagined possible, Olivia looked out at the stars. "Do you think we made the right choice?" she asked Kyle. He nodded. "I think we did. Sometimes being brave means knowing when not to fight." As Earth disappeared from view, they both thought about Nancy Green's final words to them before she revealed her true form. Being of shimmering energy unlike anything they had imagined. "Welcome to the bigger universe," she had said. "It's been waiting for you for a very long time."